All right, we're going to start here with 4.1, which is Introduction to Transformations, and has to do with reflecting things across various axes or points or whatever. So we're going to start out at, first we're going to list our original function. And so we're going to go and get the points off this graph. And if you can see, we're going to start at the left, and that point is -6, and -6, let me get, if I can get writing on here, and 7. And the next point is -4.1. And we go on, we have -1.4. 4, -3, and 8, -3. Okay. So that is our original function, original f of x. Okay. So that's the f of x piece. Now we're going to go down and say we want negative f of x, which is a reflection across the y-axis. Okay? Across the x-axis, excuse me. So, for x-axis reflections, this is what you're going to do. Okay, for an x-axis reflection then, and so let's write this out. For an x-axis reflection, here's what you need to do. You need to change the sign of the original y. Change the sign. Okay, well, keep on drawing lines I don't mean to draw. Of your y. Okay, so what does that look like? You're going to have -6. Your x's are going to stay the same, but your y is going to become -7. Look back at the original points. -4 then will have a -1. -1 that will become -4. And then these last two y's only are going to change signs, so we have 4 and 3 and 8 and 3. And then when you graph those on your excuse me, on the graph, you're going to have a -6 down at -7. Okay, and then you have -4, -1, and -1, -4. And you go ahead and kind of draw lines. And then you're going to go up to 4, 3 and 8, 3. Okay, so it's going to go up here and across. Okay, so that would be the graph across the x-axis. It just flips over the x-axis, a mirror image. Now we're going to do f of -x, which is very different. If you remember, f of x is the same as y. So that's why we change over here, up here, in our middle, the one we just did, in example 1, when you have f of x, you've always been told you could change that to y in an equation. So f of x is equal to y. That's why we changed the sign of the y. On the in the next one, we graph f of -x. So here we're going to change the sign of the x. So when you have a y-axis reflection, okay, you're going to change the sign of the x value. So let's again compare this to the original, the one at the top of the page, not the middle one now. We're going to go back, and our 6 is now going to be, negative 6 is going to become 6, and our y is going to be back to a positive 7. Then we'll have a positive 4, 1, 1, 4, negative 4, negative 3. Again, the y's are the same, and the x's are the ones that are changing signs this time. And now we want to graph it. So we have 6, 7. Okay, 6, 7. Then we have negative, 4, 1. Okay. 1, 4. And so these, we're going to connect these. Okay. Then we're going to go down to negative 4, negative 3 here, and negative 8, negative 3 right there. All right, so that would be the graph of the y-axis reflection. It flipped or was a reflection across the y-axis. So that's the first page of 4.1. Now let's go to the second page. Here we talk about reflection across the origin. So when we reflect across the origin, we end up changing both signs. So make yourself a note. When you reflect across the origin, you're going to change both signs. So again, we're going back to the original function, not in the second or third one on the other page, the very first one on the other page, and change both of the signs from what they were. So negative 6 becomes positive 6, and 7 becomes negative 7. And go ahead and fill out the rest of the chart. Okay. Put them on the graph, and this will represent the origin reflection. Okay, you can start drawing in your line. Negative 4, 3, okay, and then 8, 3. Okay, and so that's what origin reflection would look like. And I'm doing this really pretty quickly, but I think you can get it. Now, the reflection of a function across y equals x is the graph of its inverse, if you remember that, back when we did inverses. Inverses are reflections across y equals x. So the way you get the inverse, if you remember, is you switch x and y. Okay? And inverse is a reflection across y equals x. All right, so now again, back to the first one on the page before this, we're going to swap them. So instead of negative 6, 7, this one is going to be 7, negative 6. And then we have 1, negative 4. Swap all your x's and your y's. 4, negative 1. No signs change, they just swap. 3, 4, and negative 3, 8. And then plot those points. So for those points, we've got 7, negative 6. Okay. And 1, negative 4. Okay. Then we've got 4, negative 1. Okay. Negative 3, 4. Okay. And then negative 3, 8. All right, and that's within what the graph of a reflection over y equal x would look like, which again is the inverse. Okay, so that ends 4.1. The next thing you need to do is look at 4.2 and then work on your homework.